This episode of A Beacon of Hope is proudly brought to you by Campfire Studios. Campfire Studios is an impact-led organisation amplifying the voices of Māori and Pasifika communities via podcasting and video content. To find out more, visit campfirestudios.co.nz. Okay, we're recording, testing. I'm here with my second eldest, who has the skills of a ukulele. Say hello.
Hey.
Okay, give me a few bars. Thank you. And the goal here is to record the theme music for A Beacon of Hope podcast. So, 2, 3, 4. A Beacon of Hope is a weekly podcast that shines a light on the human spirit and explores the power of hope in our lives. Join me, Will Fleming, as I talk to people from all walks of life about where they find hope and how they use it to navigate life's challenges.
Be good, be safe, and be happy.
Hey friends, excuse the sound in the background of my dishwasher. Yep, this is a professional podcast. Just quickly, in this episode of the podcast, my friend Paul Rangiwahia will be joining us. He's a wellbeing advocate who uses art to break down the stigma around mental health. Paul advises and collaborates with companies, government agencies and schools throughout Aotearoa, New Zealand to empower and inspire people to get better mental health. Okay, so here we go. Thank you for joining me, Paul. Enjoy this episode, everybody. Paul, just want to thank you for joining us on this podcast. Actually want to thank you for joining me on everything I've ever asked you to do. You always say yes. My 3 questions for you, just to get the audience to know you a bit better. What is something that you are most proud of in your life?
Certainly my family, my children, and the importance of that relationship I have with my wife. If I look now at success at my age, just rolled over 50, success is those strong relationships. And I think most people would agree with that when they have hindsight, the ability to look backwards. So that's what I'm most proud of is that relationship and the other strong ones that I've developed in that time.
Beautiful, brother. What is something that you believe in really strongly?
I'm a massive believer, and I'm an advocate for having people at their ultimate sort of wellness, whatever that may look like for their circumstances. Because when people are well, life is just better, And when we are not only surviving but we're thriving, that's what the world needs, is to see our potential.
I love that. And what's one big challenge you've faced, and I guess how has it shaped you?
My biggest challenge is really overcoming myself. There was a really loud inner critic, irrational part of my mind that I would hear more often than not. I wasn't good enough. I'd never get to fulfill my potential. And I think just to overcome that and understand how that voice works, and not give it too much airtime. It's always going to be there, as it is. It's always going to be with all of us. But to overcome that has been a massive, because when I was able to do that, my career, my real potential just took off.
I love that. Very human answers to 3 questions generated by AI, because I asked it to search history for the 3 questions to get to know someone, because I struggle with that. I'm a waffler, and I try not to in these podcasts, especially this one.
Same.
So it's like, how do we get to know you? It's beautiful, bro, to talk to you today and for you to get introduced to everyone. I mean, there's much more, but I guess we've congregated around this idea today and this beacon that I sent out to you to sit here and try and articulate what is hope. And it's something that I think we don't really think about. We hope it's there. And I think part of your art is something we're going to find the answer. Have you thought about it, bro? Like, what is hope even?
Not for me personally. I've never really focused on hope, though it's a very important part of humanity. It's a part of our lives, and it's a beautiful place to be, but it's also a scary place to be, and it can really be confronting. So I think I live that, but I've never really focused deeply on it. For me, I think your hope increases. Your hope is magnified when you start to find yourself, or you start to believe in something, or you start to connect with something positive, or you start to make that step towards a better you, to use regret as a motivator and not as an excuse, and all those type of things. So in my own sort of life, I found that hope was far more available, when I felt that I was in a good place within my head and my heart and my instinct.
Any thoughts on, if things aren't going so well? Because that's when I hope emerges, is when the chips are down. And I've tried to do some reading about this. Why is it that some people can pull through and others it crumbles down around them and over them? And honestly, I don't know. I think I'm just really lucky personally to have seen hope play out many, 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 many times through the people I was around, through the things I was exposed to. But I don't know, man. Like, it sounds like you want it to be there when it's your worst days. Do you think it is? I mean, yeah. I mean, you talked a little bit about kind of turning that regret into something, and I think it's worth digging into.
I think hope is always there, even though it might only be a tiny little bit. But it's sort of that light, isn't it, that we see in our darkness, and we hope for that better time or that better moment. And it's just difficult when often you're not in a great place, and you've got that irrational thinking going on, that conversation that's rolling over in your head. I think it's easy to to think there is no hope, and I think it's that when you look at things like gratitude, if you practice those things, for example, it provides you with that great perspective. I think when you are looking for hope, looking for that sense of freedom or whatever it is that you're after, I think a great catalyst to that is to start being grateful, and to break open the clouds with the bright lights that are the things that you have, and then often we focus on what we haven't got as opposed to what we have got, and I like that sort of that aspect of thinking. Well, I'm always hopeful. I'm hopeful, that my career will keep growing. I'm hopeful that my family will keep what's that word? Thriving, yeah.
Flourishing.
Flourishing. That was a TH, not an F. I really, hope that the kids and everyone in my family will flourish. But what do you think? What do you, when you look at hope? What do you?
I mean, I think there's something beautifully inbuilt with how our structures are with family. Like, I have some tension around the idea of the individual and the collective, and actually I think they have to work together. That's why I like catching up with you, because I feel like, I've never really asked you this, but you got to take a certain amount of control in your own destiny, and that's really confronting. And I hope, that's why I really hope that's a worthy goal. I tell you what's not hopeful is being pulled into a meeting and saying that you're not meeting KPIs. That's the most hopeless thing ever, because it's like, they don't even believe in them. What the hell are we serving? And then I'm like, well, the world's asking for more evidence and data, and I guess I just better, serve the idea of we work. But why? And so when I talk to yourself and others, it's like, what feels hopeful is that, I think what you're saying is you got to focus on small things to have gratitude about, but it seems too simple. But if you add that up over time, plus a bit of luck, plus the sun will rise, maybe that's a bit of hope.
And I think, just hearing you, you talk about it, I think in terms of that control is, are we better to control our own hope, and it's often challenged when you come out of the meeting and someone said, oh, you're not good enough, you're not up to standards, you're useless, you're this, you're that. It's very normal to feel hopeless in that moment, isn't it? You're like, what's the point? And that's what I love about the way you seek out people like myself. You've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of people over the course of thousands of with a microphone and recorded and. And it's that balance that you're always seeking hope. You're trying to control your own narrative, and I think sometimes we let people tell us what a narrative should be when we need to seize it, and take control of it. Yes, we have to exist within certain frameworks, but outside of those frameworks, we can challenge things, and we can take control of things and find that better place where hope is. The tap is on.
How did you seize it, Paul? Can you give an example of maybe there's two versions of us. There's the one society prepared us to be, and then there's this one that we wish to be. And I don't know which is the right one because the crunch is on at the moment, and you get that feeling online and in the real world. We've got these weather events. We've got, the world tracking us. We've got AI writing questions, and it's like, wow, it feels like the pressure's on. But when you said you seize it, is there a moment you seized control?
I absolutely. It was only because the universe made it happen. If I had carried on on the same journey, would have kept getting the same results. So what was the big moment for me when I gained hope was I lost control of what I didn't enjoy, what I wasn't enjoying in my life. And so that was gone and taken away from me, thankfully. And so the next moment, I had to take control of was, what was my next step in my career. And from that moment on, when I knew a couple of things. One is that I was really content with what I had. B was that I was surrounded by really good people that loved and supported me, so I had that strong community, that network, that love. I felt valued and safe. And I gave my permission just to be myself and to trust, the trust, all the things that I'd felt and suppressed for such a long time to come out, and that's when I realised that, hope is something that you can make as massive as you want, and so I've seen very quickly in my own experience that my ability to instill hope in lots and lots and lots of people here in New Zealand and globally grows starts to happen very quickly, and that's so exciting for me, so yeah.
That's beautiful. And I guess, I've been playing around with that idea that, I'd like to think, well, I'm hopeful that there's a spark in each of us. And I don't really mean that from a religious context. I mean that maybe life's gift would be everyone's blessed with something, and that it's kind of up to society to help you find that. Some people are savants and, they can see pictures in their mind and then produce that, Others do different things. Some people love accounting, It's like we're all blessed in different areas. And I'd like to think that hope can also be built when you find that spark and it's lit in you. And I wonder, Paul, if you can talk to what is it that gave you that spark? How did you listen to that voice? How did you trust in it? Because most people will still say, get the 9 to 5, pay the mortgage, and the rest will take care of itself. But I believe in that, but not all the way.
That's right. And so and there's no one way to achieve that goal. We've got our own sort of capacity in terms of risk, haven't we? So I just think it's not ignoring those feelings and not ignoring those conversations and not ignoring those dreams. Yes, that we're not going to let the box right off or the lid right open, but we're going to let them out, as often as we can. If we carry on doing that and we follow those things that feel right, then, we'll make progress towards, hopefully the point where we can take that next step, And I think sometimes we do ourselves a disservice is that we're not patient enough, and I don't think we start to build that pattern of success. It's like, okay, here's what hope looks like for me. I hope for this life. I hope for this, whatever it may be, and that's my vision. Well, how do I just start? And what's some things that I can do to move towards that? So instead of making it, feeling hopeless because it's so big, why don't we try to break the hope down a little bit into chunks?
Beautiful. Paul, what are you hopeful about? And maybe I'll ask you too after that, like you mentioned gratitude and I'm really conscious that we talk about these words like everyone knows what they mean, and sometimes I don't really know what being, grateful means. Is it,
Yeah.
do I have to be grateful and have these massive ideas, or can it be grateful just like, I woke up and there's still a roof over the head? Is that, how does that play out for you?
Yeah, I reckon with hope, I hope that out of every lesson that we learn, we improve and we try to do better for each other, for the earth, and you think of the floods that have just happened and the people that are shut off, the people that are living in these horrendous situations at the moment. I hope that we start to, as a nation and as the world, get back to being communities, looking after each other, connecting with each other in a deeper way, instead of this disconnected fashion. Because the reality is that if we have these significant weather events, we have these disruptions, that we're able to look after each other, and keep an eye on each other. Because one of the biggest, risks that is really affecting the world is disconnection and loneliness and things like that, anxiety and depression. So I really hope that we can say, hey, we need to just change the way we do things, get back to, building strong communities, strong groups, cells, different, just energy. And yeah.
When you say energy, I was thinking we've said hope probably like 50 times, and I'm like, man, I'll say it a different way. I sometimes wonder, the microphones when I interview people, what do they hold? Do they hold an essence of somebody? Yes, there's probably some particles on there, but maybe it's not the soul, but there's an energy. And how do you think about that stuff? Because it gets real metaphysical for me, and I don't know where to go with it. But it kind of feels like, I hope there's something like that. It would be kind of stink to think that it's sun goes up, sun goes down. We're random matters in the universe of stardust that, I think life could do a bit better. If we really were that, then why would we, have these weird dialogue in our head? Why would we dream up music? It has to be something more, but it might not be. Thoughts?
Yeah, I look, you know me, I concur, agree with everything you said. It's something I'm really interested in, is energy, and I just hope that energy is something that is positive. I believe none of us are too small and insignificant to make a difference in our life. We have a choice every day we wake up how we're going to use that energy. That, or we could hope for. What a great thing! And I think if you were to walk around any town or street, you saw the neon sign above everyone's head. I think most people would want other people to feel happy, to feel good, and and so hope, I think, can really be something that is available in more abundance to people if we get better at just sharing what's going on in here, working on that wellness piece. Because I would feel a lot less hopeless, if there was a sense of purpose in my life, So how do we connect people with those things? And that's what that's what I like about these discussions, is that it helps to drive that. How do we understand hope, and how do we make it accessible to ourselves, and how do we make it accessible to other people? Because in my work, if you come to a good idea and you share it with someone and it works for them, then that skill is transferable. So you and I, in a sense, right now, our energy, we're trying to transfer some hope, to other people, that, and they go, hey, I don't agree with everything, but I agree with that,
Yeah. And I hope that that's why I call it the beacon. I like the idea that you can send something out. And I mean, ironically, in New Zealand at the moment, it's the beacon of the radio station that's allowing information out. All our technology failed us. There's no texting. There's no Wi-Fi. It's like, put a battery in an old school beacon, and they're sending out that, and all, it's irony in some ways, because we've put everything into this technology and it's let us down. And maybe because we leaned on it too much, where I guess what we're saying is, you said it at the start, you're proud to have made a relationship with your wife work for a long period of time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the same thing too. I'm so proud that I'm quite laxed about the Valentine's Day, and I forgot to get flowers, and I'm like, you got to sort your stuff out, man. It only works if you keep that, cultivate it. But I guess that's a whole nother podcast. Paul, just you mentioned I guess workshops you do. Could we call those things that the tools of hope? Things you can enact when moments come that make us a little bit less hopeful. Is there just a brief description of kind of tools, things you do, structures in your life that just help you keep, North Star facing?
Yeah, I think for me, and I think for everyone, we tend to reach an outcome. So if you're a builder and you follow a plan, you probably you're going to build the house. And when we follow things, that we've thought about, we've got some experience and we've had some success, we follow them to completion normally. And so what I've seen around the country, there's been a lot of awareness, around things like, I am hope, those. So all those things, that's a good example. There's a lot of awareness around how we feel about ourselves and wellness and mental health. And what I realise is not enough action. I think as a country, there's been great awareness, awesome work, but we need action now. And so for me, it's really just following a plan. And I found that it really worked for me. So I've now developed that. The resources for other people. So on the 1st of April, I launched a new company called Well I Am, and that is just simply driven on the back of a huge growing demand, and a really tiny lack of supply. So in the middle is this massive gap. Well, people just want to follow something, Mine won't resonate with everyone, but it'll resonate with people and give them some help and direction, because often we fall foul and we lose hope when we don't know what to do in certain situations. But if you've got a bit of a deeper understanding about what happens in those situations, you're ready for them, that's a good place to be. And that's what will bring more hope into people's lives. So I'm really looking forward to watching that story be told.
It's awesome. I'm so thankful that whatever energy, speaking in the most earnest way I can, we keep connecting over the years. It's so cool to know, just find out now, like everyone else, that you're launching this new thing, and it's brilliant. And I think it's so cool that you get to kind of talk about that now, because, it's like, what an awesome way to just, keep moving the ship forward, that we wrap around each other, that there's these tools and that we can kind of interconnect. So my last question is, what are you hopeful about, bro? Because everyone can tell you what wheels are falling off and who's saying this and this person over here. But, Paul, what are you hopeful about?
I'm hopeful within Aotearoa that my generation and older will start to really understand the importance of good mental health and wellbeing. I think our sort of age group around that sort of mid-40s to 60, sort of 65 age group holds a big key for unlocking the problems around mental health and wellness. We really struggle to, just talk about what's going on. And I think if we can be more vulnerable, that will be will open a huge door. I already think, and I'm very hopeful that, younger people, our rangatahi, they're already talking about how they feel more often. It's normalised for them. It's us. I hope that it's us that talks more, because, if we can free ourselves, then what happens is we create this incredible environment where it's like, oh, you're feeling that too. Oh, that happened to you as well. Oh, good. And you're normal. Oh, great. Okay, so am I. I need to stop thinking that, And that's what I'm hopeful for, and I'm really, excited to be hopefully part of that change.
Beautiful. Just for the last 30 seconds, this might sound a bit weird, but I try and wrap it up with guests over the years, and I'm like, just let them talk. So if you were talking to this audience and you just wanted to introduce yourself and, allow them the opportunity to follow you, or to even jump on some, your website or something, what would you say to someone, because let's do it in your voice. If you were talking directly to them.
Oh, kia ora, ko Paul Rangiwahia aho. I think for myself and where I'm at in my own life is that I've keeping it pretty simple. And I would recommend to anyone out there is to try to keep life, as simple as possible. Find yourself your own authentic plan that you can follow, and surround yourself with really great people that love and challenge you, So you know what those simple things are, and I hope that you'll get to connect with me in the future, to help you sort of expand that and open your thinking, because what I'm really motivated about is for everyone to realise their potential as much as they can. So if you Google my name, it's Paul Rangiwahia. I'll pop up somewhere, and I look forward to connecting with you sometime in the future.
Awesome, man. That's cool. That was cool. Hey, dude, we're going to wrap it up here, but because the algorithm told me anything over 20 minutes, people won't listen to. So
Yeah.
4 minutes. So I just want to thank you for this session and all of the time you've given me.
Thanks, Will.
It's an awesome developing friendship that we have, this digital connection, and thank you for sharing and increasing that beacon of hope for us today. 2, 3, 4. Thank you for tuning in to this frequency of hope in our podcast today. If you found value from this episode and want to hear more, I would love it if you could follow, subscribe, and rate our show. By doing so, you will increase the frequency of the beacon of hope. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other platform, please take a moment to hit the follow or subscribe button and leave a rating and review. I truly appreciate your support and feedback, and it helps us make our podcast even better. Thank you.
Be good. Be safe. And be happy. Yeah. Sounds like that song, doesn't it? Be happy.
All right, Mama,
Yeah.
we stop there, right?
Yeah, okay.